So in today's video we're talking about tires. There's a lot to go over with tires. You got different types of tires, air pressures, and so let's get right into it. So this is my Pennsylvania Panzer. It's 1107. Obviously it did not come stock with these tires at all. These are 26 by 12 by 12. These are the biggest tires my club allows me to run. I didn't pay the extra to get ag tires put on these. They came as I got a set of 4 of them with these Turf Saver tires. So it's what I've been running. And having just the wider tires alone was a big improvement over smaller ag tires. I'll show you what I started with. I started with a set of these ag tires. Basically, they are 23 by 8.5 by 12. So these tires here did pretty good. I didn't really win anything with them. They did exceptionally well, but you can tell the difference of the width of these tires. Okay, these tires are only 8.5 inches wide, right, on a 12-inch rim. So if I put these up to these other tires, kind of hard to tell with that camera angle, but move the camera. There we go. So as you can see, the ag tires are much narrower than the tires I'm running now. Now it's not by much, it's only like what, 3.5 inches? But those 3.5 inches can make a big difference. Alright? So these were a good upgrade over the stock tires. Now you want to see the stock tires that came on this Panzer. I got those right here. And these tires, however, were very good mowing lawn, doing household chores and whatnot. Those are not going to be good for pulling. These tires here are, they don't even say. These are original to the tractor. You say a 6 by 12. Doesn't give the actual overall height. Now those numbers we talk about, 26, 12 by 12. That's from the bottom of the tire to the top is 26 inches tall. The second number is the width, 12 inches wide, and then your rim size, 12-inch rim. So that's where you get the 26, 12 by 12. These aren't them. Like I said, those are my stock tires from this Panzer. These here are the big guys. So having the wider tires made a big improvement over just ag tires. So I mean, ag tires do a good job. If you can spend the money to get the ag tires on a much wider rim, I would suggest doing it. But as far as entry level goes, you can get a set of these cheap. I think I paid the time I ran these, I bought these probably like $130 for the pair. Not all that expensive. If I had to do it again, I would. Starting out, this was a very good base to learn from. I learned this tractor pretty well. I made it work with the smaller tires, and I actually learned a lot more about the tractor. So when I went and put the bigger tires on, I actually was able to utilize the extra traction from those tires. So that being said, let's talk about air pressure. Now on this tractor here with the big tires that I run 6 pounds in both tires. I've seen guys run as little as 3 to 4 pounds. On a small ag tire, that'd probably be fine. That's probably what you want to run in those. But these being a bigger tire, I need to run more air. So 6 seems to work good for me. What ends up happening is if you go too low in your air pressure, you get the squat you're looking for. So it squats the tire, and what happens, you get a bigger area of traction, bigger footprint. Okay, but like these ag tires here have no air in them right now. So what ends up happening is when they sit in the floor, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but they become concave. Okay? There's a big dimple right here. So picture that on the ground if you're running very, very low air pressure. You end up losing the traction in the middle. All you're doing is getting a bite on the sides. So you got to walk that thin line of too much air pressure and not enough. This right here is not enough air. And like I said, you're going to get traction on the sides, but not in the middle. You'll notice that when you're pulling with your tractor or driving with your weights on, you're going to notice the sand. If you go over sand, there's going to be a little bump right where your tire is, because the sides of your tire are digging in, and the middle is not, so you're going to get a little bit of a bump. What you want is your tread to be flat in the sand. That's why a lot of guys, you'll be watching, they'll be actually looking at the tires, see what's going on, so that they can better for the next pull. They can upgrade. Don't just pull and just be off in la la land. Your tractor's talking to you. You gotta listen. So you want to run the right tire pressure. You gotta find what works for you. Take a notebook, little notebook, and write notes in it. Hey, I ran 6 pounds this day. This is what happened. I ran 4 pounds this day. This is what happens. The track conditions. That's a big one. You're running on sand. If you're running on clay. If you're running on hard, like concrete, dirt track, or if you're running in mud because it just rained or something. Who knows? Track conditions play a part in that as well. So make notes. Okay. So, air pressure. Find the air pressure that works for you, okay? And it might not be the same track to track. It might be a soft track one day, and you're going to run a little bit more tire pressure. Like I said, you can run on a track that's almost like a concrete because they packed it in so well. You're going to want to run a soft tire on that. You just got to play around with it and find out what works for you. So, that being said, I have a trick that I do when I go to tractor pulls. I put my air in my tires, check my tire pressure and whatnot, put my tractor on the trailer, right? And then I have a balancing tool that I made. I'm sure I'm not the first one to do this. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that have done this. But I found that if you have different tire pressures in your tire, what's going to happen is, right now I have, for this video, I put too much air in this tire. And that one there has not enough. Okay? So what that's going to do is, depending on the surface of the track, it's going to start pulling the tractor one way or the other. Okay? If I'm running on like I said, a soft track, this tire is going to bite in harder than this tire, because like I said, it's going to bubble up. Okay? But if I'm running on a harder packed track, that tire might bite harder than this one. Don't know. But what that's going to do is that causes the tractor to steer. As you're pulling, the weight of the sled and the weights on here are actually going to, your tractor's going to lean to one side, and you might end up pulling more that way. And you're going to constantly be correcting that. And the more you correct the tractor, the more you have to keep it going straight versus just letting it go straight. That's less pulling power you have, the less momentum you have to keep going. All right? So as soon as I started balancing my tires, it was night and day. It's like I flipped the switch. This tractor started pulling straight. I didn't have to do much steering, and this tractor just goes. I don't know. You just watch my videos. You see me on this tractor. I actually have to push my arm forward, the arm on the tractor, to drive to make the tractor go. It's the clutch system in this tractor. So I'm putting everything I got into holding that belt tight and making this tractor go. I don't want to be spending time steering, because if I got to spend time steering, I'm not focused on that belt. I'm not pushing that belt hard, and I slow down and I don't win. There's been multiple times where I've been having to correct, and it doesn't do good. So that being said, I got my balancing tool. I'll show that to you now. Basically, it's a simple tool I put together, mostly from generic part stores, Harbor Freight, and I got the gauge from AutoZone. Basically, it's just a simple fuel pressure gauge. I wanted something very accurate, down to very low numbers. Comes in focus there. See if that'll work. You see, it's very, very fine numbers on there. It's not a typical gauge, you know, a tire pressure gauge. This is very accurate. Okay. Basically, what I got here is I got two ends, and they both have locking valve stems on them. So you put them on there, they lock in place. It goes to a T for that gauge, and I got another locking valve stem over here. All right. Now up here, I have just a valve stem you would find on your tire. Okay. I don't fill air pressure here because it puts too much pressure to this gauge and it will break that gauge. So this here is for releasing air only. So never fill up with this unless you have some sort of shut off where you shut the air off to your gauge, otherwise you will break it. So what I do is, like I said, I load my tractor up on the trailer and then I will connect these to my tires. So I get that hooked up to that tire. Like I said, I put way too much air pressure in this side, but I did that for a reason. It's at roughly 15 pounds right now. I did that because this side over here, what I'll do is I'll show you. I got 15 pounds in this tire. And that gauge is now back down to 0 because I let the air out. Normally it'll hold the air pressure, but the way I took it off, it lost the air. So I put it on this side. All right. So that tire there is reading about 4 pounds, which is not what I want. Okay. So I want to put more air in this tire, less air in this tire. So I put this tire on the air too. I know you can't hear that right now. My gauge is reading less than the 15 it was showing before, showing roughly 11, maybe 10.5 right now. What it's doing right now is it's taking air from this tire and it's putting it over here. Now I would normally drive to the tractor pull at this point, and by the time I got there, the tires would pretty much be balanced out. Now they'd probably be more than the 6 pounds I want, which is when I just take the little valve stem up here by the gauge and I would just release some of that air, making them 6 pounds on both sides. So then my tires would be perfectly balanced. So now we got our air pressure is balanced. We're running the 6 pounds, or in your case might be different, but I run the 6, so I got 6 pounds. They're balanced. I got the biggest tires my club will allow, and this is pretty much ready to go as far as the tires are concerned. The front tires, you're going to want to put probably the recommended tire pressure in there, depending on what you're running for a weight class. You want those to be solid all the way around. You don't want them to be a little flat, because if they're a little flat, that will make a rolling resistance. Okay, so you want those to be aired up. You don't want those to slow your tractor down, because if you get a flat tire, the tractor's got to try to overcome that, and it's not just pulling the sled, it's overcoming your front tire. So you got to make sure those are good air pressure. You want to make sure they're aligned. Don't come in with them all, janky and whatnot. Make sure they're nice and straight. They're tracking true. Good bearings in your front will help. Yeah, that's about it.